Welcome back to Designsmith. In this video, we're taking a look at some designs that I found on Pinterest this week. Before we get started, please subscribe to support the channel. Alright, so the first one up here is this Brutalist design, and it's very interesting. It's not necessarily my style or anything, but I just love how everything is laid out here. And I don't really know the context behind this particular project, but I love how we have the registration marks here, along with the color bars. It's just a really interesting arrangement of objects, and this is kind of like the opposite of minimalism. For the most part, it's filling in as much space as possible. And this is a very interesting and unique way of showcasing your design skills. When I was going through Pinterest, there was just something about it. I think that it was the big pixelated emoji that really drew me in. And even though there's a lot of chaos going on here, there's a lot of balance as well. Different elements are aligned with each other right here, and even though it's very busy and there's a lot going on, it's still very well designed. Alright, next up is this really cool composition of green and orange. Of course, I'm a sucker for these colors, so anything that has this combination of green and orange, it's going to catch my eye immediately. Now, I don't know anything at all about this particular project, but I just love the dimension in it. There's a lot of structure and chaos going on in here, just like the previous poster. But it's interesting to me that you've got this line going this way, and then it just kind of stops. It doesn't continue going. So it just communicates a very complex structure here, even though when you look at it at first glance, it looks pretty symmetrical. And this is also a great example of going outside of your comfort zone. If you're anything like me, you tend to stick with only a few shades of color, and this design has a lot of different shades of this green color, but only a couple of spots of the orange, and they're all in the same shade. But then you've also got some grays and some lighter shades of green in this area. Overall, it's a very interesting composition, and I've never tried anything like this, so maybe I should. Alright, next up is this really awesome Swiss-style concert poster. At least I'm pretty sure it's a concert poster. I don't read French, but I'm picking up a couple of clues here. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this is following the traditional Swiss grid, or if they've just created their own grid, which is something that many people do. But it's obviously following some sort of structure. We've got these lines over here, they're all aligned left, and this column also has these same lines. The balance of the type is extremely dramatic. These type sizes are very different from each other. And I just love how these sections are little bitty headlines here, showcasing what all the artists or the pieces are going to be. And it's a little bit pixelated, so I'm just now realizing this. They've got it in French and in English. But it's a very nice way to structure all of the information that's on this poster. There's a lot going on here, and it's laid out very nicely. And I love the little bitty inclusion of the reds right here. This is a great example of showcasing that if you introduce a color, you don't have to use it everywhere. And even though there's a lot going on down here in the bottom, it's still laid out in a very organized way. And the horizontal line going all the way across is mirroring what's going on at the top. And even though it's still going on all the way across, we still have the continuation of this gutter down here. So overall, very good use of Swiss design principles here. Alright, next up is this poster right here, and this really grabbed my attention. I absolutely love this combination of colors here. It's very early 90s. And one of my favorite things about it is the awesome balance of this warp text right here, followed by this crazy rainbow trail, and this little block of type right here that's just so plain. But it works perfectly because they are so perfectly balanced. And I also love the inclusion of this type down here. Sometimes centered text can really bother me, but not in this instance. If I were putting this together, I might be tempted to move this over here to this side and then right align it just like this is. Although this is force justified, so it makes it even more unique. Now, I'm not exactly sure how this was done. I'd have to experiment around with it, but there are a number of different ways that you can do this kind of thing. Maybe I'll play around in Illustrator and Photoshop and find a cool way to make a tutorial out of this. And also the last thing I want to mention, this isn't something that you see a whole lot of, but it just gives it so much more depth. And that's the inclusion of the bevel and the stroke around this type. It just really helps it stand out against its own motion trail there, and it just works perfectly. Alright, and the last design we'll be talking about is this really cool book cover. And even though it's using a serif typeface, this was built on Swiss design principles. It's such a simple little effect, and this is actually something that I personally have tried to do myself, although I haven't really figured it out yet. But I'm sure I will eventually because I love figuring out stuff like this. I don't know anything about this book, I haven't read it myself, but the very simple artwork and the effect right here just perfectly communicate this for me. I'm guessing that it's some kind of a mystery or a horror or something like that, and this effect here is very much communicating that something is coming. It's almost like in those old horror movies when there's something under the blanket and you can just see the blanket kind of popping up. That's exactly what this is making me think of. Of course, I could be completely wrong, and maybe this book has nothing to do with that. But seeing the title of it combined with this effect really does make me think that. And if you wanted this to be a book about surfing, all you'd have to do is change the color of the black bars to blue. It's amazing what a difference color makes. All right, well, here's everything at a glance. I would say that overall, my favorite has got to be the Enjoy Every Moment poster. Let me know which one your favorite is down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.